Hello, this is section 4.4, the counting. Okay, so fundamental counting rules. In a sequence of n events, in which the first one has a k1 and possibility, and the second event has a k2 possibility, and third has a k3 possibility, and so forth. The total number of the possibility of the sequence will be the product of the number of the possibility of the event. So multiply them all together. So notice that the word that n means to multiply in this case. So how many different heads? A yarn shop has head patterns in 4 styles, 5 stitches options, and 3 sizes and 3 yarn that are appropriate for the head. How many different heads can be made? So since there are 4 different styles and 5 different stitch options and 3 different sizes and 8 yarns, so you're gonna multiply all together, we'll get the 480. So 480 different heads. So if you pick the heads, there'll be something different, okay? And B, how many heads can be made in the size is disregarded, so we don't care about the size, okay? So that means 4 style, 5 stitches, and 8 yarns. So you have 160 different heads. Alright, let's look at the next page. In next example, the sample space for each event will be the same. However, in one case, repetition allowed, while in the other cases, the repetition is not allowed. Okay, so lottery game. Lottery game is called a pick 4. In a play by picking 4 digits, which is from the 0 to 9, which is there's a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 10 digits. How many sets of the 4 digits are possible if the digits are repeated? So you can use the same numbers again. So which is there's a 4 digit to fill it in. So so you can use a 10 digit of the number of each of the spots. Okay, so there'll be a 10 digit. Then use 10 digit you can use, 10 digit you can use, and 10 digit you can use. Multiply all that together, you get the 10,000. The ways of the numbers you can make. And B, how many sets of 4 digits are possible if the digit cannot be repeated? Which means you cannot use the same number. So 4 digits need to be repeated. And then you can use so there'll be a 10 number for the first case, and then the whatever number you choose from the first place, and you cannot use for the second. So you got the 9, the numbers, and the 8 digits, and the 7 digits available. So when you multiply them all together, and then you get the 5,040 ways. And then I want to talk about factorial. Okay, so for the any counting number n, and factorial means starting from the number they're given and then multiply by always one number less than whatever number you have all the way to 1. So but 0 factorial we consider as a 1. Okay, so if you use the 0 factorial is a 0, everything's just going to be below 0. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. So 5 factorial means start from the 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so where do we using the factorial? When we do the permutation and the combinations. The permutation is arrangement of the n objects, but in the specific order. So order matter for this case. So first, consider the instance where all n objects are different. When all objects are used, then the permutation of the n objects n at a time is written npn. Is calculated using the formula, which is npn is the same as n factorial. Alright, so permutation rule number 1. When r of the n objects are used in the specific order, the permutation of the n objects r at a time is npr. This is the formulas. Okay, so you use n factorial over n minus r factorial, and then that'll be the number of the way of the problems. Okay. So, example 3. Ways to visit patients. So, suppose a home nurse has 6 patients, but 6 patients are all different patients, right? So, I think the order matter. Must be the visited in one day. How many different way can the nurse visit them? So, what you do is the permutation. So, there's a 6 patient, but she's gonna or he's gonna visit all of them. Okay. So you can use calculator to find the P6, which is I show you already, right? But or you can use the computation here. So n factorial. So this is n and this is r, right? So you got 6 factorial and then 6 minus 6 factorial. So you got 6 factorial over 0 factorial. And then 6 factorial means 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 0 factorial is a 1, right? And then when you multiply it, you get the answers of 720. So 720 ways. Alright, if the nurse must choose only 4 patients to visit in one day, how many ways can they be chosen? So this time, that there are 6 patients, but only choose 4. Okay, so which means here, compared to the n and PR, always n is greater than or equal to r. Okay, so you cannot say 4p6. You have to say always the first number must be bigger. And then same thing, use a calculator, okay, or you can just do the n factorial, and then n minus r factorial, which is you got 6 factorial over 2 factorial. So 6 factorial means 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 1, and then your answer is going to get 360. Wait. Alright, let's look at the next page, okay? Now consider that the sum of the objects are identical. So permutation rule number 2. The arrangement of n objects in a specific order using the R1 object are identical, R2, and then objects are identical all the way to RP. So in this case, we are using these formulas, okay? So there are n factorial, but some of the, the letters are exactly the same. So order actually of those are the letter, identical letter, actually is not that important, okay? So example 4, arrangement when some objects are identical. So how many permutations of the letter can be made from the word Mississippi? So in the Mississippi, we have to see how many letters are, what kind of letters are repeated how many times. So M is only 1 letter. And then I has a 4 letter, I believe. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then the S has a 4 letters. And then P has a 2 letters, okay? So those are letters that has been repeated. So, and factorial means you need to add them up, which is there are 11 letters, right? So, n factorial, which is 11 factorial. And then you need to put that as M has a 1 repeated, I has a 4 repeated, S has a 4 repeated, and then the P has a 2 repeated, which has come out as you got 34,650. Alright, the combinations. Combination is a selection of distinct objects without regards to the order. So combinations are used when the order of or arrangement is not important. So as in the selection process, suppose a committee of the 5 members be selected from the organization of the membership of 45. 5 is the selected committee members represent the combination. So committee member 5, which doesn't, so it could be any person in the membership, okay? So combination rule, so the number of the combination are objects selected from the n object is denoted the NCR. And then this is a formula. So the NPR was n factorial over n minus r. Factorial, right? But they put the r factorial on the bottom. Alright, take a look. Playing bridge. How many different tables of the 4 can you make from the 12 potential bridge players? Okay, so yeah, the player actually is a person, but it doesn't matter what person get together. So there are 12 potential players, and then you pick 4 for table. Okay, so what you do is n factorial, and then you subtract 12 minus 4 factorial. Okay, so far here it's gonna be the NPR, right? But in order to be a combination, we have to put the 4 factorial. So which is going to be 12 factorial over 8 factorial over 4 factorial, okay? And then, of course, the meaning of 12 factorial means 12 times 11 times all the way to 1. 8 factorial means 8 times all the way to 1. 4 factorial means 4 times 3 times all the way to 1, right? But if you use a calculator, you can just put these things together, okay? Because make sure that if you're not, and then the calculator is not gonna work as what you need it, okay? So in this case, 12 factorial divided by 8 factorial over 4 factorial, it comes out as a 495. So if you don't get the 495, please ask me in the class. Alright, group of the present. If a person can pick 3 presents from the 12 presents under the Christmas tree, how many different groups of the present can be chosen? So yeah, so present, we don't know. This is an anonymous present, right? So from the 12 presents, and you pick 3. So which is 12 factorial. You can use calculator, okay? And then also 12 minus 3 factorial, and then the 3 factorial, which makes a 12 factorial over 9 factorial and times 3 factorial, okay? Sum of calculator, you need to put the times between. And then it will come out as 220 ways. So this is actually the number of the different ways, okay? To choose or the picked. Okay, alright, that'll be all for the 4.4. Thank you for listening.